Hey, if you've ever been part of a software team, you know what it's like. Keeping everyone's code in sync can feel like trying to conduct a really chaotic orchestra. But what if there was a score for everyone to follow? Well, today, we're diving into GitFlow, a powerful model that brings exactly that kind of order to the madness. Let's get into it.
So first up, we've got to talk about the problem GitFlow was built to solve. It's something I think we can all relate to, the branching headache and all the frustrations that come with just trying to manage your code.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You look at your project's history and it's just chaos. You have no idea which branch has the latest feature, which one is stable, or where that one critical bug fix actually went. It's a huge source of anxiety for so many dev teams.
And this image right here, this is a perfect picture of that chaos. Without some kind of system, this is what you get, this tangled, spaghetti-like web of changes. It makes it almost impossible to track how a feature evolved, hunt down a bug, or even know what's safe to release to your users. It's a mess. And the consequences of that mess are very, very real. You might accidentally ship a half-finished feature because, well, it was just sitting on the main branch. Or worse, a huge bug pops up in production, and you're left scrambling with no clean, reliable way to patch it. It is super stressful and just not efficient. But as you can see, there really is a better way.
All right, so enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. It's time to meet GitFlow, which is basically a clear, easy-to-follow map for your code.
You know, at its heart, GitFlow isn't some fancy new tool you have to download. It's just a disciplined way of using Git. Think of it as a set of rules and specific branch types that create a really logical structure. This gives your entire team a shared language, a shared understanding of where code should be and how it gets from an idea all the way to production.
And this diagram? This is the whole map. This is the entire GitFlow model right here. We're going to walk through it piece by piece, so don't worry. But for now, just notice how clear and parallel everything looks. At its core are two main branches that basically live forever.
And these are the two pillars of GitFlow. First, you have the master branch. Sometimes people call it main nowadays. This branch is sacred. It is what your users are seeing right now, so it has to be stable and ready to go at all times. Then, you have the develop branch. This is the hub. This is where all the active, ongoing work is happening. It's the single source of truth for whatever's coming in the next release. Okay, so we've got our two main branches, but how do we actually, build new things? Well, that brings us to the day-to-day workflow and our very first type of supporting branch, the feature branch.
The process here is just beautifully simple, and more importantly, it's safe. When you want to build something new, you create a dedicated feature branch off of develop. Now you can work in your own little sandbox in total isolation. You can experiment, you can break things, you can commit as you go, and you're not going to affect anyone else's work. Once the feature is done and tested, you just merge it back into develop, and only then does it become part of the next release.
And if we go back to our map, you can see these pink feature branches. See how they sprout from develop and then merge right back into it? They never, ever touch the master branch directly. This is what keeps your main development line so clean while letting your team do a ton of work in parallel.
So, let's say you've merged a bunch of cool new features into develop. Awesome. But how do you get it ready for prime time? Well, this next step is all about that final polish before you go live.
When you decide develop has all the features you want for the next version, you cut a new release branch. Now this is super important. This branch is now frozen for new features. You can't add anything new here. It's only for final bug fixes, updating documentation, that kind of thing. Once it's perfect, it gets merged into master, and that becomes the new official release. And this is crucial, it also gets merged back into develop so you don't lose any of those last-minute fixes. Looking at our map, this is the green release branch, and it acts as this perfect buffer. While one part of the team is busy stabilizing the release on this branch, other developers can already start merging their new features into develop for the next release. Nobody gets blocked. Okay, but what happens when something breaks in production? You can't just start a normal feature. You need like an emergency lane on the highway, and that is exactly what a hotfix branch is for. Now this is the key difference. A hotfix branch is created directly from your stable master branch. You make the absolute smallest change possible to fix that urgent bug, and then, just like a release branch, you merge it back into both master to fix production immediately and develop so that bug doesn't magically reappear in the next release. And on our map, you can see this emergency path in red. A hotfix branch is a high-priority, direct intervention on your production code. It's really the firefighter of the GitFlow model.
It deals with emergencies quickly and efficiently, and it does it all without disrupting the main flow of new development.
Okay, so we've looked at all the individual pieces. Now, let's just pull back for a second and bring it all together and see why this creates a workflow you can really, genuinely trust.
Honestly, this table is the perfect cheat sheet. It lays out the 3 supporting branch types so clearly. You can see at a glance where each one starts, what it's for, and where it needs to end up. It's this level of clarity that makes the whole system so powerful.
Now, there is one last little detail worth mentioning, and that's how you actually get your finished features back into develop. You've basically got 2 options, merge or rebase. A standard merge creates this extra merge commit, which shows exactly what happened, but it can kind of clutter up your timeline. A rebase, on the other hand, replays your changes right on top of develop, which gives you a much cleaner, totally linear history.
And our source material offers this really practical advice. You know, especially for those feature branches, using rebase often leads to a history that's just way easier to read. It tells a much clearer story of how your project actually evolved.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, the benefits are huge. Multiple developers can all work in parallel without tripping over each other. Your master branch becomes this fortress of stability, always ready to go. Your project history turns from a tangled mess into a clear log of what happened. And maybe the most important thing of all, it gives your whole team a shared language and a shared process, which is absolutely invaluable for collaboration.
By giving you a dedicated, specific branch for every single task, whether it's a new feature, preparing a release, or an emergency fix, GitFlow just transforms chaos into clarity. It gives you a map, a reliable process, and really, peace of mind. So the final question is, maybe it's time to give your team's workflow this kind of upgrade.